this would make a wonderful highway. And he pitched the idea, and it wasn't until the 1890s that it was agreed to by a local body called the Commissioner of Street Improvements. That commissioned Rissy to design it. He became what is called the engineer of the concourse. It was begun building in 1901 and finished in 1909. It is 182 feet wide, and it was designed after the Champs-Élysées in Paris. You have malls, the tree-lined malls that separate the traffic, and that gives you one of the ideas. From the very beginning, it became the elegant boulevard of the Bronx. It attracted people who were wealthy, who lived in the apartment houses that were built here largely in the 1920s and the 1930s, and you'll see that architecture around. The southern part of the Grand Concourse attracted people who were largely Jewish. The upper part of the Grand Concourse attracted people who were largely Irish and further on Italian. And in this area, this is where the Irish and the Jews mixed. And you find remnants of both here, but as we go further north, it becomes less and less and less evidently Jewish. Fordham Road was originally not considered to be a major street when the concourse was built. As a matter of fact, when the concourse was built, this area behind me was just a huge rock with goats ambling over the top of it, if you can believe that. So therefore, since this was not supposed to be a major street, Fordham Road was not designed to go under the Grand Concourse like you'll have many underpasses. When it became a major street, when it became the major shopping center of the Bronx, it was decided that they had to have a separation of traffic. And it was decided that the Grand Concourse should go under Fordham Road. And this is the only place where the center part goes underneath any other side street. This underpass was built in 1927 and was designed by another civil engineer who was the borough engineer at the time. His name was Louis F. Haffen. Now, Louis F. Haffen was known for another reason. He was also, back in 1898, the first Bronx borough president. But in the 1920s, he was the borough engineer because he had nothing else to do. And he designed this underpass. So here is where you have that. Now you will notice that there's a lot of buses that go up and down the Grand Concourse, and you see that they're very long. They are articulated buses. They speak very well, don't they? No, they're articulated buses. You find that they have a front and a back, and they bend in the middle. The Grand Concourse is one of the few streets in the Bronx that did not have trolley cars on it. They always had buses. And the first bus service was actually started by the Fifth Avenue Coach Company, and they were double-decker buses like you would find on Fifth Avenue at the time. 2 years later, it was taken over by a regular bus line that had regular buses, and it was only until a few 2 or 3 years ago that the articulated buses came in. Now, why would they put it here? Why double-decker buses to begin with, and why articulated buses? The Grand Concourse area, and that is not just the Grand Concourse, but also the streets on either side of it that parallel it, is the most densely populated area of the Bronx. It is the most densely populated area of the Bronx. And so in order to provide the service for the people who live in this area so that they would have enough seats in the bus, they had the articulated buses here. Okay? Now, it is also very interesting. You will note Alexander's comes in 1934. The Wagner Building, Art Deco in the early 1930s. You have other buildings that are built here in the 1930s. In the middle or the beginning of the Great Depression, where people were out of jobs, when nationally 25% of the population was unemployed, and yet this is being built up. This area is being built up. Why? Well, believe it or not, in the early Great Depression, when 25% of the nation is unemployed, in the Bronx, 16% of the population is unemployed. Now, that still is a horrendous figure, 16%. But compared to 25%, that's a heck of a lot better. So there was wealth in the Bronx. And that wealth is shown in the architecture of the area and some of the buildings in the area that you find up the Grand Concourse as we go. So let us start our tour and head that way. Savings Bank. It was originally built in 1933, a bank being built in 1933 as the Dollar Savings Bank, a Bronx-based bank. This was originally the Fordham branch. It eventually became the headquarters of the Dollar Savings Bank. And again, it is done in the Art Deco style. You have the granite covering of the walls. Up above, there are mottos urging you to save money. Please save money. Do it here. You know, that sort of thing. They had just over the entrance something that resembled a silver dollar, and that was the symbol of the Dollar Savings Bank. It's now covered by the name Emigrant Savings Bank. But if you go inside, you'll see a riot of Art Deco architecture. You go inside, you will see the chandeliers that are vertical, Art Deco. You will see the walls that are Art Deco, and typically there are murals on the walls that show some of the early settlement of the area. They're not particularly identified. They don't know we're coming. I didn't even know this was open, but it's possible now to go inside and at least look around and see it. And if you see the ghosts of Fred and Ginger, you'll know why. Right. Before WPA art, but you notice the verticality of the elements, and even the chandeliers over here. They're all vertical. See, and this is original too. These are original Art Deco stands. So if you want to put money in, heaven forbid you should take it out. That's what you would use. Okay. Savings Bank. Okay. Okay, now let's just wait till everybody gets out. How many abscond with the front? Now, this tower over here looks as if it was made at the same time, but it wasn't. This tower, the Dollar Savings Bank Tower, was actually erected in 1951, but it was blended so well into the original that it looks as if it were the same. Offices of this Dollar Savings Bank were upstairs. There is a clock on the clock tower, and just beneath the clock, that was where the offices of the president of the bank was located. He regretted it every time, of course, the hour passed and the clock started ringing. But this is, the two buildings are now separately owned, but they are still, harmonious in the